As Charlie would say, hello, boys and girls. It is the Charlie's Flybox YouTube channel. I am Max. This is Brent.
Hermanison.
Look at that. We were having a hot debate as to how to say his last name. Brent is our Farbank rep here at Charlie's Flybox.
Are you sure that's right?
And what?
Hermanison, is that right?
I have actually no idea
We'll
because
spell check it later.
I have a low reading level. It's not a requirement for working at the fly shop. A high reading level is not a requirement. So what we're going to do today for you guys is we're going to sit down. We get questions all the time about fly lines. Most people don't understand how they work. I remember when I first started working at a fly shop, I did not understand how they worked. It took me a little while to figure it out with help from people like Brent, with help from people like Charlie. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk a little bit about the technology that goes into fly lines. We're going to talk a little bit how they're constructed, and then we're going to run through a couple different sort of general taper shapes. We're going to do short aggressive tapers, mid-length general purpose tapers, and longer, more dry fly, precision, delicate casting oriented tapers. And we're going to walk you through a couple different products that are available in each of those categories, and Brent is going to enlighten us as to why you would use each on the fly rod of your choice. So let's start there. Brent, do you think it is more important to match fly lines to rods or to applications?
If budget is no concern, match it up to the fly rod and the fishing application.
100%.
If budget is of some concern, match the fly line to the fishing application first, and then you can work to the rod.
And I think we would all agree, I know Charlie says this all the time, there's very few pleasures in life quite like a perfectly matched fly line and fly rod. And as somebody who works in a shop who gets the opportunity to try a lot of different rods because people like you bring us in little things to try, you know what I mean? It's really cool when you find one that just sings with a certain rod. And I would say, you know, you said this before, but one of the things that's really important that a lot of people don't understand is just knowing the fly line that you're already fishing. There's probably a little piece of writing on the end of your fly line that you can go look and see what it is that you're fishing right now. And maybe just familiarizing yourself with that taper. And next time you come in and, you know, want to try something new, making sure that you actually do try something new. So over the course of a couple seasons, you can see sort of the breadth of what's available and then hone in on what's actually good for you and your choices. So let's start with the general purpose stuff because that's going to be most applicable to most people.
Sure.
But before we do that, I almost forgot. Tell us how a fly line is constructed, Brent. Perfect.
There's two main parts to a fly line, relatively simple. There's a core, that's braided fishing line. There's a bunch of different variations of that, but it's a braided fishing line. And then on top of that braided core is the coating. So that has the stuff that's low density and floats, that has slickness agents, that has plasticizers that make the line either supple or stiff.
Yep.
But that's all in one.
Gotcha.
And those slickness agents are kind of active inside the coating.
Yep.
They go out to the surface to keep slickness. It is not sprayed on to the outside, you know, that just gets scraped off in a couple of days.
For sure. And one of the things that I see, I think one of the biggest misconceptions that I see in the fly shop, I hear this all the time. Guys come in, I want amplitude textured. That's the fly line that I fish. That tells me absolutely nothing, almost, because it's not a taper shape. Right? Yep. We're going to talk about taper shapes here, but what you just described, the coating that goes into it, this is what you pay for in the different fly lines. So when you walk up to the wall and you see fly lines in the $80 range, the $100 range, the $120 range, a lot of times the taper shapes are exactly the same. A Rio Gold exists in many different price points. What you pay for is that different material blend.
Yep. It's either like the slickness additives to the coating or the core material.
Yeah.
And some other stuff, but that varies per brand. One
thing that was really important about we were just talking about this, the core construction is the low stretch stuff. And I think that's something that people don't necessarily understand. When you set hook on a regular fly line, I mean, what'd you say? There's 10, 12 something feet of stretch in that. If you have 30 feet out there.
Percent.
Percent. Sorry. But there's so much stretch that goes into that. I will say a lot of these lines are worth that extra $30 just for the positive hook sets that you get.
The easiest way to explain why a low stretch core is beneficial is if I have a 30 feet of fly line out there that stretches at 10%, that's 3 feet of stretch before the hook goes in.
Yes.
Well, I can go all the way down to like 3 or 4% stretch on some of the more expensive lines. That's the difference between setting the hook and ending here or here.
Which is huge.
How many fish have you lost because you can't keep up with the?
Yep.
Yeah. So big deal.
There you go. Absolutely. So let's start going through these different taper shapes.
Cool.
So we'll start with the general purpose stuff right here. Sorry, I can't read them. Right here. So we've got a couple different ones. We've got Rio Gold. We have Rio Gold XP. We have Scientific Anglers Infinity. And then we have Airflow Universal Taper. Brent here, we're not going to make him talk about fly lines that aren't under his purview too much. So, you know, I would say the gold is probably our best-selling fly line here at Charlie's Fly Box. I mean, with a bullet. I know I love it. I keep it on my carp rod. I've cycled it through a lot of my general purpose stuff. And then the Gold XP is a new offering from you guys. So why don't you just talk us through both of these lines, how long they are, and sort of the expected purpose for both of them.
Obviously, they're general purpose or a multi-purpose fly line, so they're going to be in the middle of the spectrum of both weight and length. So the head is going to be mid-length, not incredibly long, and they're not going to be incredibly heavy or light. So Gold versus Gold XP. Most people are probably familiar with Gold. It's been around for 18 plus years. It's 47 feet long. It's not the longest out there, but it's relatively. And it is technically true to line weight. In the first 30 feet, it's true to line weight. We don't need to go into grain weights for that. Gold XP is a half size heavy in the first 30 feet, and it's 5 feet shorter.
So heavier and shorter.
Correct, which makes it a little more aggressive because you have the same amount of weight, shorter distance. I would argue that Gold XP should be the #1 selling line as it matures, because a lot of the fishing we do out here is nymphing with relatively heavy rigs for 5 weights. Of course, we'll all chop that off and go fish a dry fly hatch when it happens,
For sure.
but most of the time we're defaulting to nymphing, and extra weight will help turn over the nymph rigs. And most of us aren't really fishing past that 42, 45 foot
100%.
range.
100%.
So you don't need the head to be longer than that.
So would you say, as a takeaway for the nice people out there, generally speaking, if you're skewing a little heavier or want a slightly more forgiving fly line, Gold XP.
Yep.
If you're skewing lighter flies, more presentation oriented, Gold.
Yep, exactly. If the heavier the line, the more authority you have to make your flies go where you want. And also, the heavier the line, the easier your rod bends. Most of the rods these days are relatively fast. A little extra weight's not going to hurt there. I wouldn't worry about how heavy the line lands on the water. We're talking about the difference in weight of a business card over 30 feet.
And just to round out the picture, Infinity, I believe, is a 52-foot head at half size heavy, and then Universal is, I want to say 42 or 39-foot head. They don't give us a grain weight, but Charlie fishes a lot, and he says it's true to line weight. Yeah, it feels true to line weight.
Gotta be in the range.
So they're all kind of in that same family of each other, but they're each a little bit skewed towards certain applications. Let's move into the more presentation-oriented stuff. So this is going to be this little suite right here, Tech Trout, which is going to be Trout Expert, I believe. So I don't know when this is going to go live, but eventually this trout taper will be known as Trout Expert. And then we have, what is this? Tactical Taper from Airflow, and then Super Trout from Airflow, which is one of my favorite lines right now, but we'll talk about that in a second. So why don't you walk us through Tech Trout, which for me was a go-to, I mean, still is a go-to. It's on my 3-weight right now. I absolutely love this line.
Yeah. I like Tech Trout a lot because it's on the lower spectrum of true to line weight. So it's lighter than Gold. It's a bit longer than Gold. It's 50 feet. But it's a little bit more aggressive. So to start your cast, it has a little more weight up front to get the things going a little easier, but then the taper extends quite far so you can have control casting as far as you want, Colorado.
If I can interject, that's one of the things that I love the most about this line is, you know, we talked about earlier some of the creek lines and stuff. I really don't don't care for the creek lines very much, but I absolutely adore this on my 3 and my 4 weight because there is just enough mass at the end to punch out a little bit when I'm in those short in situations, but it doesn't land hard.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's not a big fat head that's landing on the water, but there is enough to just
It's got a long-ish front taper. It's 10 feet of front taper. So that gives time to like dissipate energy and lay the fly out nice and easy. But yeah, it's relatively heavy for a light line.
Yes.
Towards the front.
As we go down, I would say, like you said, this is 50-foot head. While that's long for the general purpose stuff, it's short for the more presentation-oriented stuff. These, as we go down, trout is 60-something feet. This is 70-something feet. In what situations would be using these longer, really dainty, very elongated tapers? What are those going to be good for?
The one that comes to mind to me is the Henry's Fork in Idaho.
Yeah.
Where you have really clear water, smallish flies, and the fish are really spooky, so you have to cast far. You can't wade close to them. We haven't mentioned this yet, but it takes mass to move mass in your fly line. So you have to have weight in the fly line to move other parts of the fly line. I'm sure you guys have all done it where you're out casting and it's going really good. You're lengthening out a little bit, and then all of a sudden, like the cast falls apart. It's probably because the head is outside the control of the rod. It's past the rod. You're really trying to cast running line, which has no mass, doesn't move the head. So 60, 70 foot heads, or whatever longer, in the case of a double taper, you have mass 60 feet back. You can control the head from 60 feet.
Yeah.
So yes, the longer the taper, the longer you can carry, keep the fly line in the air and have control and accuracy of it.
Yep. The one last question I'm going to ask about these, because this is something that I still don't fully understand, honestly, and I kind of struggle talking to people. I find I can fish these lines on relatively fast rods, even very fast rods. I think that's because we parking lot cast here a lot, you know what I mean? And I get to cast a lot of different, do you think these agree well with a modern fast rod? Do you think these lend themselves better to a more moderate action, Winston-esque sort of action?
It depends.
Yeah, no, please, but expound on it.
So your rod is a fixed amount of power. You can either load it with more weight or more speed. So if I throw my fly line really fast, it's going to pull on the fly rod and bend it more. But if I throw it really slow, it doesn't act as heavy. So if you're a caster that is gentle and slow, these lines aren't going to bend that rod extremely well.
Yeah.
But if you're more of a
Zippy.
Max who's like,
Very zippy.
short, sharp, and like aggressive, you get the speed and power to bend the rod.
Yeah.
So absolutely, you can make this fly line bend an igniter.
Yeah.
Tech trout on the igniter is my favorite setup for dry flies.
Yeah.
But
you
you have to be really short and sharp on it.
Yeah.
So it depends on the caster is my answer.
100%. And I would say these are probably the least forgiving casting lines out of everything that we're talking about right now.
Totally.
But for the right application, obviously.
Exactly. Super
the right
fun.
tool. The last we'll talk about in sort of the trout applications will be these more aggressive tapers. So we have Gold Max, which is a new product from Rio, and then we have MPX, which is a super popular taper from Scientific Anglers, and then we have the Power Taper, which Char actually loves. Char always talks about this Power Taper. Talk us through that Gold Max, because I know that's new from you guys, kind of gets you into this category.
Prior to talking specifically about Gold Max, we should probably talk about front-loaded versus rear-loaded tapers.
I just noticed that on that,
So we're looking at only the head here. We're not looking at the whole fly line. We can either have the weight of the head towards the front of it, which is what 99% of these fly lines are.
And real quick, all weight forward fly lines, what we're talking about here. We're not talking about weight forward versus not weight forward. They're all weight forward. It's just how is it distributed?
Right. How is the weight distributed in the head? Can either be towards the fly, which would be front loaded, or it can be towards the rod or the back of the head, rear weighted. So front loaded is what we're all used to. It carries the energy towards the flies and spends all that energy to turn the flies over.
All the lines that we've already talked about. Front-loaded.
All front-loaded, Seems like recently rear-loaded tapers have been coming into popularity. And And I think one of the main reasons for that is because it makes the direction change of your cast easier.
Interesting.
That comes up in hopper dropper fishing and streamer fishing quite often.
Yeah.
Cast your flies to the bank, they float downriver, you have to pick them up, turn, and cast back at the bank.
Very nice from the boat.
Yeah, from the boat.
Yep.
And that happens wade fishing quite often as well. But most of the time we can overcome that by roll casting. So anyway, during that direction change, if the weight of the fly line or the bulk of the weight of the fly line is far away from my rod, I don't have control of it. I'm going to go back, it's going to do a big clunk, and I'm going to try and turn the corner and go to the bank.
Yep.
And the fly line's kind of going to do this awkward sweep around, and we've all done that, and it sucks.
Yep.
Well, if you move the weight of the fly line back towards the rod, now it's closer to the rod tip. If I pull the fly line back and go to change directions, that weight's closer to the rod. It can be controlled by the rod better, and then it can also tell the rest of the fly line where to go better. So it makes the direction change on like a hopper dropper or a streamer cast much easier, and still gives the fly line plenty of power to like turn over flies.
Cool. And that's what the Gold Max has,
Correct.
is a rear loaded taper.
Yep. Gold Max is our kind of heavy duty multi-purpose line. So it's a full line size heavy, heavier than Gold, heavier than XP, heavier than Infinity, and I'm not quite sure on MPX, but I believe
it's heavier.
It's heavier.
It's heavier than everything on here.
So great. It's going to bend the rod a little easier. It's also going to move larger fly rigs, which would be a streamer, big hopper dropper rig, that type of stuff.
You think this is a good beginner caster?
It can be.
Yeah.
Since it's rear loaded, that first like 10 feet of casting, it'll feel really light, and you'll be like, wait a minute, this kind of feels light. It's supposed to be a heavy line. Well, it's because the weight's in the back of the head, so you need to get a little more fly line out. This is really great for beginner roll casters.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you have all the weight towards the back of the head, which guess what? That ends up in your D loop as you're roll casting.
Yeah.
So it'll turn over almost any roll cast.
Yeah, for sure.
So we can go crazy into the weeds on that type of stuff, but I'll reel it back.
The other ones that I have in this category are, like I said, SA, MPX, and then the power taper from Airflow. These are more traditional style tapers, front loaded.
Yep.
I think of these as good beginner casters. They load rods easily. They turn flies over easily.
Yep. The weight is towards the front of the fly line, so you don't have to have much fly line out to have weight to bend the rod.
Yep. Cool. As we move away from the floating line stuff, we'll talk a little bit about the sinking line stuff. First off, how are sinking lines measured? There's this IPS system. What does that stand for?
Yeah, IPS, inches per second. Most of the companies rate them in like Sync 3. You'll see S3, S5, S7. That basically means it sinks at 3 inches per second, 5 inches per second, 7. And that's assuming there's no current.
Yeah.
Current will create drag and make them not sink as fast, but
Absolutely.
that's all good. One confusion that I've heard a lot of my friends say is, oh, I have this really heavy 7 inches per second fly line. Well, it's probably very dense to be 7 inches per second, but that doesn't necessarily mean the head is heavier. The Predator is a really good example to show on this. Yeah. We make Predator full floating all the way down to Sync 7. It's the same shape head. Yep. It's the same shape head and the same weight of head in all of them. So whether you get a floating or a Sync 7, it's going to cast the same. It bends the rod just the same. But on the Sync 7 version, it's probably a smaller diameter and more dense, so it sinks.
Gotcha. But it's the same weight. You're not overpowering the rod.
Correct. It's not a heavier grain weight in the head.
So I picked 3 here. I've got Rio streamer tip. That's a 10-foot head straight to floating line for running line.
10 foot of sink.
10 foot of sink, sorry.
Like 30,
yes, 100%. I've got a full intermediate, and then I've got this Predator line. For me, for walkway, I mean, the sinking line stuff I feel like is so area specific and water body specific. Obviously, we have a national audience, so depending on where you are, we have a lot of different sinking lines available. Give us a call. Let us talk you through it. I think for Colorado, especially walk weight stuff, I really like the 10-foot heads. They don't get caught, or 10-foot sink tips.
Yep.
30-foot head. I just think they cast really well. They don't get caught up at your feet when you're trying to walk around.
Yeah.
Usually it's plenty for a walk weight situation. Even from the boat, I find it's usually long enough.
So part of the advantage of like the shorter sinking tip or whatever is that, you know, you only have 10 feet of line that's underwater.
Mhm.
So you don't have to rip, you know, 20 feet of sinking line out of the water. And then on that same point, having a floating running line or floating rear part of the head, it doesn't sink into the water at your feet as much. So if you want to shoot line, it comes off the water and goes easier.
Whereas some of the other ones that we carry, like we have a Trout Express, we have a Airflow shovel head, they have intermediate running lines, harder to get off, but different applications. If you're trying to sweep big deep runs, you know what I mean, or fish from the boat in big water, obviously they have their
you can
advantages.
picture like the fly line either hinging and sinking only at the tip or the whole thing sinking and swinging through.
Yep. Last but not least, we have saltwater lines. I don't know anything about saltwater lines, if we're being dead honest, but Brent here is a global fly fisher, world traveler, saltwater enthusiast. So I'm going to let him break down these three. I think I got the flats pro, the tarpon, and the bonefish from Rio there. So just give us a quick little breakdown.
Yeah, so the same general things apply. How heavy is my fly and how far do I need to cast? Okay, do I need a long head or a short head? Do I need a heavy head or a light head? The extremes on that are probably bone fishing or GT fishing. Bonefish probably need a small fly, so you don't need a heavy fly line.
Yep.
And you probably need to be pretty accurate at sometimes far distances.
Yep.
So that's the permit taper.
That's
don't have
Flats
a
Pro.
bonefish.
It's right there.
Flats Pro works.
Oh, did I not get it for you? Oh my gosh, we have it though. Sorry.
Bonefish. Bonefish is a relatively light taper, and it's pretty long.
Yeah.
The longer it is, the more control you can have. The lighter it is, the less big of a fly it can turn over.
For sure.
However, we're using small flies for bonefish. So there's one good example. GT fishing, totally different. You're probably going to have a big, heavy fly, but accuracy probably doesn't matter as much. If you get it in the general area, they're going to find it.
Yes.
So we probably want.
Brent, have you caught a GT on a fly?
I've caught one GT.
Was it a very viral Instagram video?
Would you consider that viral?
I mean, I don't know. It did pretty well.
It was pretty
I
cool.
bet you a bunch of these people saw it. I thought it was pretty cool.
That
We'll
was the
link
coolest
that.
day of my life.
It'll flash up on the screen right now.
Yeah,
Hopefully you guys don't copyright strike us.
Nah, you'll be good. Okay, so GT, heavy fly, accuracy doesn't matter. So I want heavy fly line to combat the heavy fly, and I can have a shorter head because I just need distance and fast. So I can shoot it easier if it's a shorter head.
Cool.
So one other thing to note about saltwater lines is they are made on a mono core.
Ooh.
So we no longer have a braided core on the saltwater lines. They get too flimsy.
Yep.
So we need to use a nylon or a mono core. It's a little bit stiffer.
Yep.
And then also on the coating, which is the mixture of all the goodies on the outside of the core, that's a bit stiffer as well. So different plasticizers and whatnot in there to make it stiffer. It's probably sitting in 80 or 90 degree water, or on the deck of a flats boat, just cooking.
Yeah.
You need to have a stiff enough fly line so that it doesn't get caught in the guides and can hold a loop.
Cool. That was so good.
Amazing.
Look at you. God. I guess in conclusion, hopefully this has demystified a little fly line stuff for you guys. I think the most important thing about this is to come in, ask questions, use this as a resource. I see it so many times. Guys walk back to that wall. We ask them if they want help. They say no. They look up stuff on the internet, and then they pick one up, and they have absolutely no idea what they're buying. So hopefully this video has kind of opened up the door a little bit for you guys to understand at least what these fly lines are trying to accomplish. We are always a wealth of information here at Charlie's Fly Box. You can call us, you can email us. If you email it, it'll go straight to Charlie, and he'll have to put it in our shop group chat for one of us to answer.
Bug Charlie about that. Send the emails.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to get at here. But seriously, guys, if you don't know the fly line that you're using, I'm going to go back to this. If you don't know the fly line that you're using, you should. And it is on the line, most likely. If it's a modern fly line, it's probably printed on there. Go find out. Ask yourself if you like it. If you like it, get that one again. If you don't like it, allow us to help you try something new.
Yeah, that'll give you a baseline of information.
Yes.
Is it a heavy line? Is it a light line? Is it a short line? Is it a long line?
Yep.
And then you can make adjustments from there.
Yep. And it really makes a world of difference. I mean, so many guys just, fish the general purpose of golds, infinities for their entire angling career. There's nothing wrong with that. They're fantastic lines, but it is really cool to, especially if you have a bit of a quiver that you're building, to match the lines to the applications that you're trying. I know I use different lines on my 7, my 6, my 5, my 4, my 3, and I have my preferences for all of them because of the styles of fishing that I like to do with those rods. And when you start going down that road, we talk about all the time with the nice gear. Everybody can go fly fish with a random line and a random rod and a random reel, but when you get nice rod, nice reel, fly line that matches all of it with the right fly, it's just a...
Yeah, you leave the river just like,
oh my God.
This was made to be.
Exactly. And we're here to help you get that feeling at Charlie's Fly Box. So give us a call, shoot us an email, go on our website, sign up for our email newsletter, whatever it takes to get your Charlie's Fly Line dose for the day. We're here to help. Let us help you. Come get a new fly line, charliesflybox.com. Bam.